Welcome to 2024 and welcome to DNQ Football. We're so excited to be back for the new year, slightly maybe later than we'd initially hoped, but we're here to talk everything Afcon in the eve of the tournament. We're recording this on, I should have prepped this, on the 9th of January, and the tournament kicks off in 4 days, running from the 13th of January all the way through to the 11th of February. We have 24 teams. We will have one winner. Tom, where do we want to start with what is going to be our final Afcon predictions preview chat through?
It's good to be back. Like you say, slightly later. The first 8 days of January just flew by.
They did.
So
They
here we
actually
are
did,
back in 2024, and it kicks off in a wonderful way. We've got African Cup of Nations, AFC Asian Cup. We've already done not a preview, but a reaction to the draw for the African Cup of Nations, which is our half an hour video detailed run through of all of it. All you really need to know in terms of a recap from that video, I'm sure you've already watched it, of course, is that there are 6 groups.
Yep.
Top 2 go through from each, and they are joined by the best 4 performing third place teams, which leads to the round of 16. And from that point on, it is a normal tournament as you would
normal
expect.
knockout tournament. Yeah.
Standard round of 16 knockout tourney.
Yeah, we probably touched on this in when we reacted to the draw. I don't know how keen I am on the 24 to 16 thing. It feels like so many of the teams go through, don't they? Anyway, let's start, mate. Let's start Group A, and we're doing our final predictions again. We would have rattled through this, I'm sure, in our reaction to the draw. Let's go. Let's talk through each of the groups, who we think is going to win it, the underdog that we think is going to perform the best now that we are on the eve of the tournament, and any surprise packages. How does that sound?
That sounds great. And let's kick off with Group A. The hosts: Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. Now, this is going to be a theme as we go through these groups, as we discussed in our reaction to the draw. They're all a bit stinker draws for the minnow teams or the smaller teams, because a lot of the groups, because obviously the way that the pots work, a lot of the teams are very, very good. I do think that an Ivory Coast Nigeria top 2 wouldn't surprise me. My only remark about that is that Nigeria, of course, in World Cup qualification, got off to a rather poor start, with a couple of draws, including a draw to Lesotho, and a side like Equatorial Guinea might fancy their chances. They'll back themselves to be a little bit better. My early shout would be, I think Ivory Coast will be desperate to top the group, being hosts. And then I do think Nigeria will have enough to come second. And I think Equatorial Guinea will be vying to be one of those 4 third-place teams to go through if they can beat Guinea-Bissau. But don't underestimate Guinea-Bissau either.
I agree. I think that the thing with Nigeria, mate, as you said, I think the firepower they've got up front will definitely get them through the group. You're talking Osimhen from Napoli, Ahmed Musa's the captain, Iheanacho's still about, I know he's playing in the Championship now for Leicester, but he's still a good player. It's where they're suspect at the back, even though they have decent players. Calvin Bassey at Fulham is one of their defenders, I'm pretty sure. I should have got the squad up, but they've got solid, like Troost-Ekong plays them at the back as well. They lack a little bit in midfield and at the back for solidity, but they do have the firepower up front. I agree with your top 2. Equatorial Guinea have got previous, don't forget. They were good in the last Afcon. And Guinea-Bissau, throw my hands up, I don't know enough about them. Like your analysis of Group A. Also, we should probably throw out there, God, we're so bad at this, aren't we? If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit like on the video. If you're enjoying this kind of Afcon international football content, it's what the channel is all about. Group A, tickety-boo. Group B?
I'll let you lead on Group B.
Now, Group B is an interesting one because I have, and I'm going to come across like a real stinky Premier League fan here, but we're West Ham fans. We've been witnessing some sensational form from a certain Mohamed Kudus, who has, of course, jetted off to play for Ghana. So believe that Ghana will do well and will probably get out of the group. I don't think they'll go the whole way, but I have a really awful part of me that sort of hopes that they really struggle and they crash out of the group, so Kudus can fly back to London and pick up where he left off for us in the Premier League. Again, this is, as you said, from the get-go, you have the bigger teams and then you've got the smaller teams. So that's such a funny statement there, isn't it? In each of the groups,
true
you've got
though.
the two.
It's a real clear divide in a lot of groups.
What would you say? I think Egypt, obviously, I think they'll top the group. I think Cape Verde will run Ghana close, mate. But I think both of them will go through because I think Mozambique, even though they've done well to get there, it's their first time that they're appearing at an Afcon since 2010, so over a decade. They've never got out of the group stage. I would imagine they would probably lose to those three teams. So you're going to have all three of those teams, I would expect, to be in to go through to that to the next round.
Yeah, I think that it comes down to I would still back a Ghana Egypt top two, and I think that my reason behind that would be I think Ghana could draw with Egypt, and I just don't think Cape Verde are quite at that level. I do think that all teams will beat Mozambique. Again, no disrespect intended, but it's quite a strong group. You know, Cape Verde across the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years have really come on a lot as a team. And they've got some good players that play across Europe, maybe not in the top leagues, but still, I think that they will beat Mozambique. And that, you know, ultimately the whole point of the coming third and still getting through 24 to 16 thing is if you can beat the team from pot four, you're in a pretty good spot. And I think that Cape Verde will do that. And I think that they will be trying to get that draw against Ghana because I think 4 points will be enough to get through in third, even if you don't quite make second for whatever reason. So, yeah, again, Group A and B, reasonably clear cut, not in a boring way.
Just quick one, actually. Interestingly, you probably did know this, but for anyone that didn't, the ex-Brighton manager, Chris Hughton, is the Ghana manager. Did you know that? And he hasn't done brilliantly there. This is why I think that they will come top three in the group, I think. But lost to Comoros in World Cup qualification in November. Only drew with Namibia in a pre-tournament friendly a couple of days ago. So they're not going in all guns blazing.
But sometimes those can be the teams that then turn it around when it actually comes to it. You know, I think sometimes it's really difficult if you look at like the run that a team is on and then it actually gets to the tournament itself and they absolutely crumble.
Yeah. Four times winners,
yeah.
Not won it since 82, Ghana.
Wow. I thought they ran it more. That's crazy. That is a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Champions 63, 65, 78, and 82.
Did they come runner-up not that long ago? When they had like Avram Grant?
Potentially.
Did they? I don't know for sure. We're guessing at this point. Group C, I think it's similar but slightly different. And you know,
I see this one even. Senegal, Cameroon, Guinea, Gambia. I think Senegal will probably win the group. But the other three, mate, I think this is on any day, I think each of them could get a result against each other, of course. I don't know how to call the other three, mate. I do not know.
I think the only thing I'll say, we talk about Gambia a lot on the channel, you know, one of the lowest ranked teams. It's only their second ever AFCON. They did so well at the last African Cup of Nations. They are going in on slightly poor form is the only thing I'd say. And I do think there's a little bit of pressure on the gaffer, on Tom Saint-Fier, because I do feel like they've got their golden generation now. How good is that golden generation? Well, the last AFCON set expectations. And I think to follow that up with qualifying again is sensational, but they did scrape it. They need to improve in World Cup qualification. They didn't have a great November. They'll be looking to bounce back. I think that Guinea are a sleeper team in this group as well. I think, you know, if they had an easier pot three team, then Gambia would have as good a chance, I think. But Guinea, like, can Cameroon even beat Guinea? You know, Guinea are a very solid outfit. So I agree. I think Senegal, I'd be surprised if Senegal don't get 9 points, but AFCON is AFCON and it's the best tournament for mishaps and mistakes. and crazy results. A great tournament to lose money on. Out of the others, I don't know. This is where I'm gonna hope that Guinea and Gambia don't draw with each other and screw each other out of a third place spot. Would be my main takeaway from that group. I really hope one of those teams get through, because I think they could be one of those quarter-final, semi-final teams that sneaks through.
Just quickly on Guinea, I think nothing sums up them and actually sort of international football across Africa. A day ago, they beat Nigeria in a pre-tournament friendly 2-0. Great result. Their last match in November in 2026 FIFA World Cup qualification was a defeat to Botswana. It's quite incredible. You've got 4 teams here that are all. I don't think there's anyone that really is an outlier for being really poorer than the other teams. So you've got both Gambia and Guinea have players playing across the top leagues in Europe and in other continents in the world. And you've got, especially from Gambia's point of view, he's under pressure, but such an experienced manager. So, hey, Cameroon, it's not gonna be completely easy for them. They've got a fairly inexperienced squad. They've got obviously the firepower up front with Abubakar, Toko Akambi, but I'm looking at the midfield, and they've only got one player that's got over 10 caps in the midfielders that they've selected. So
let's not forget they scraped through whatever it was last. I can't even think.
World Cup qualification.
It was World Cup qualification
because they had the group of 3.
Yeah. They scraped through that, which is bonkers, really. This is not going to be clear cut, and you know, qualifying for a tournament is very different to playing in it. And actually, you know, they've only got 3 games, so who knows? It's all up in the air.
If I was to go out there, I'd say probably Gambia drop out, but again, I could see. I'm going to go Senegal. I'm going to say Cameroon struggle. Senegal, Guinea, Cameroon drop out. That's a bit of a shout there for you. Just a random prediction.
Yeah.
Group D.
I like that. Let's go. Group D, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, Angola. Mauritania side that have gone up and up and up. Recently, my favourite player for them is, of course, Abubakar Kamara, AK-47, as he was in the Premier League when he played for Fulham. Algeria, I'd be surprised if they don't win every game. Very strong side. But this really is a great group for whoever else you want to pick. Almost pick a name out of a hat in this one. Burkina Faso, a very solid side, have been for a while. Mauritania, like I said, on the up. Angola also not to be sniffed at as an international team. I would predict who was going through second. It would be a complete guess, but purely because I like them and they did okay at the last Afcon, I'm going to say Mauritania and Burkina Faso to be those 2 sides to edge past Angola.
Yes, I think the 3 will go through in this group. Interesting though, mate, because again, all these teams have got players that you forget. You look at the Burkina Faso team again. Bertrand Traoré. I've not seen him for Villa. Has he been injured?
Not sure.
But again, a plethora of players that are playing in the top leagues across Europe. Steve Yago, Isufa Dio, really experienced defenders for them. The Algeria squad is really, really strong. Benrahma, again, as West Ham, Benrahma didn't even make that, and that's a Premier League winger. He hasn't made the Algeria squad, which goes to show how strong they are. Fagouli's in it. Oh, interesting. He's getting on now, 34. Sofiane Fagouli, he was quite good for us for that one season, wasn't he? But even Angola, look, they've got a lot of players that play in Angola. But again, players that play in the Turkish league, experienced internationals with lots of 20 and 30 plus caps. I don't know enough. I've never watched Angola play a full game, so I don't know. I couldn't give you any tactical insight into who's sort of better set up to get the most out of these games against each other. But I think Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Algeria probably make it through, mate. Let's go. Should we go Group E?
Group E, one of my favourite groups because Tunisia are the pot 1 team. Tunisia, Mali, South Africa, Namibia. I mean, this is a real group of death. I think when we spoke about the draw, were you saying, was it Tunisia or South Africa? I can't remember. Were really not pleased with the draw because it's like the highest teams you could get in each pot, basically, based on the rankings, have all found themselves in Group E. Namibia, one of the best pot 4 sides. South Africa, you can never write them off. They're obviously not as good as they were a little while ago. Mali, I think, are really strong, a real sleeper team. I think have a good chance to top this group. And then Tunisia, who again are just a super consistent there or thereabouts team that often find themselves going out in the round of 16. If I'm honest, I feel like I don't know. I haven't looked at Tunisia's record in this competition. I feel like a lot of the time they get out of the group and then go out in either the round of 16 or the quarters. And I think they'll do the same again. But I think that this is one where, again, it comes down to how the teams play on the day. Namibia are not going to be easy, even for the top sides. But, Namibia start the group against Tunisia match day 1. And I think that could be a tone setter.
Yeah, Tunisia have won Afcon before. They've won it in 2004. The single title. Aren't Namibia the lowest ranked team? So they're our DNQ. We're sort of cheering them on, right? No, they're not. Sorry, they're 114. It's Tanzania that are the lowest ranked at 122. I can't remember that conversation as to who might be displeased with the draw. I mean, you've got a draw full of, as you've already said, really, really solid outfits. I think I've got a bit of a strange one. I think that I think South Africa might struggle in this one. And I see Tunisia and Mali going through. I see 2 of these 4 going through, actually. Tunisia and Mali, both really, really strong, really, really strong sides. And hey, I'm hoping Namibia as one of those low-ranked teams. I hope they can put in a good performance. What is this? I think this is only their 4th appearance at Afcon. Let me just check.
They're a side in a really okay vein of form, though, as a national team. They've done well in, was it the COSAFA Cup? I think it was.
Yeah.
COSAFA Cup, so I think they did well in.
It is. It's only their 4th appearance at Afcon. They've only ever they've exited the group stage at every single time. And they had a couple of not bad results in World Cup qualification, a good 2-0 victory against Sao Tome and Principe. So did they win the COSAFA Cup, or they got into the latter stages for sure? I can't remember. Too many teams.
Too many teams, and that leads us on to the last group, where there is potentially one of the favourites to win, the highest ranked African team in Morocco, currently 13th in the world, came 4th in the last World Cup, which was now over a year ago, which is crazy. Morocco, DR Congo, Zambia, Tanzania. Like you said, Tanzania, one of the lowest ranked sides, and I think that they're in a tough group, and I think they'll struggle. Zambia and DR Congo, I think, will battle it out for 2nd or 3rd, but they'll both, I think, in my opinion, be hoping that they can best Tanzania and just basically do enough to get through. I mean, they play each other on the first game on the 17th of January. It's DR Congo versus Zambia. That's a pretty big game. They'll be hoping that Morocco just beat Tanzania. And even if they draw with each other, then it's not too bad a result, I would say.
It's so interesting, this, mate. Tanzania is just a different, complete opposite ends of the spectrum, isn't it? You've got Tanzania, the lowest ranked team in the competition, versus Morocco, the highest ranked team, right? And in Tanzania's squad that they've announced for Afcon, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 players that are based in England. Haji Noga, again, apologies on pronunciation, he's made 7 caps, plays for Aldershot. Tarin Alakaria, who is 26 years old, he's never made an appearance, plays for Wealdstone. A 21-year-old Ben Starkey, who plays for Basford United FC, which is in the Southern Premier League. It's just insane. And then you look at the Morocco's team, Hakimi, Agurd for West Ham, Amrabat for Man United. It's quite incredible.
And the striker, right? El Niziri?
Yes. In the series, he's at Sevilla.
Yeah. He's a great. We've had the opportunity to see him play a few times. Really, really good player as well going forward as well. Yeah, I mean, top versus bottom. Now, we are just going to, as I'm sure we did a few months ago in our last preview, pick an overall guess for winner. But I also want to pick which sort of sub 100 team you think is going to go the furthest. But I'll start with your winner.
Morocco.
Morocco's my pick to win, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Which is a bit boring, but I think it will. I was looking before, and they've only won it once before in the 70s. I think it was 76 they won Afcon. So, they'll be desperate to go again. And I'm looking at the rankings now because I said sub 100, and now I'm trying to remember what teams are sub 100. Or just, a third or fourth place team that you think could sort of surprise.
Well, I can tell you who's sub 100. Everyone in pot 4, because the last team in pot 3 was Mauritania, and they're ranked 99th. So Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Namibia, Angola, Gambia, and Tanzania. I actually think that. It's hard because they're in really difficult groups. They're in really, really difficult groups. Will any of the pot 4 teams get out of the group stage, mate? That's the question for you.
In theory, Gambia do have the best chance, or Namibia.
Gambia or Namibia have the best chance, I would say. I'd say Namibia actually probably have the best chance. Gambia have the experience, but their group is tough. Guinea, Cameroon, Senegal. And I know I've just said Cameroon aren't in great form, blah, blah, blah. But okay, so pick one. Pick one pot 4 team to... No, who will be the best performing pot 4 team in your opinion?
I believe in Namibia. I believe in it. I think I'd love them to come third in their group and have a sniff at going through. They've only got to win one game to have a decent chance of going through.
I am going to completely contradict myself.
And pick Gambia.
I'm really...
Pick Tanzania?
Gambia have got a good, solid squad that have been together for a number of years, and they've been on this stage before. And I know, wind the clock back, it's probably about 11 minutes, and I was saying how they weren't going to get through, and they've got a really tough draw, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, they do have a tougher draw.
They do, yeah. They absolutely do. But I just think of all the pot 4 teams, they are...
Did they get knocked out by Cameroon in the last Afcon?
Yeah, quarterfinal. Yeah.
So it's time for revenge.
Revenge.
Rwenge. And on that bombshell.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for this kind of content. This video wasn't even meant to be this long, and we haven't even got into how your new year was and everything. Now I've not seen you for a little while, so we need to have another just general chit chat.
He means virtually. I saw him earlier today in real life, but we don't really speak about that kind of stuff. Yeah, we do need to have a chit chat about that kind of stuff. But it's our first video back in 2024. We're doing this. We need to do AFC Asian Cup as well. January it's going to be good. It's throwing us back in at the deep end with lots of international football that we can't wait to bring you on B&Q. Don't forget to like and subscribe. 2024 is going to be a great year, and we will see you next time.